Your closest friend just stabbed you in the back. Your business partner is secretly working against you. The person you loved, the person you trusted most just used your deepest secrets as weapons. And here you are, standing alone, bleeding, asking the same question everyone asks. How did I not see this coming? Here's the brutal truth. You did see it. You just chose to ignore it. Because what you're witnessing isn't someone changing. It's someone revealing what Jung called the shadow, what Machiavelli called human nature, the dark side that was always there, hiding behind their smile, waiting for the right moment to emerge. And that moment, it's when you stop trusting them. When trust dies, something extraordinary happens. The performance ends, the mask falls, and what stares back at you isn't the person you thought you knew. It's their shadow, the part of them they've been hiding, even from themselves. Carl Jung, living in his stone tower at Bollingen, a sanctuary he built by hand beside the still waters of Lake Zurich, spent his life mapping the hidden territories of the human mind. Surrounded by nature and silence, he discovered that every person carries an unconscious darkness, repressed desires, fears, and instincts they refuse to acknowledge. This shadow doesn't appear to everyone, but it still grows stronger in the dark. Niccolò Machiavelli learned the same truth 5 centuries ago in the blood-soaked courts of Renaissance Italy. He watched men smile while sharpening knives. He saw handshakes become betrayals written in blood. And from this theater of human deception, he extracted a truth that still cuts today. Men are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, and covetous. But here's what neither of them told you directly. When you trust someone, you're not seeing them. You're seeing their performance, the version of themselves they want you to believe in. Trust is their stage, and they're the actor playing the role you need them to play. But every actor gets tired. Every performance eventually ends. The moment you withdraw your trust, the moment you stop being their audience, they stop acting. And what emerges is what was always there. Their true priorities, their real agenda, their actual character. Think about the last time someone betrayed you. Were you really shocked by what they did? Or were you shocked that they finally did what you always suspected they might do? Your friend who became your enemy didn't transform overnight. They stopped pretending friendship was more valuable than whatever they wanted from you. Your partner who cheated didn't suddenly become unfaithful. They stopped acting faithful when faithfulness became inconvenient. Machiavelli observed this pattern across every relationship where power was at stake. Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand. They see what you show them, not what you actually are. When trust breaks, the show ends, and reality begins. Jung discovered that the shadow emerges strongest when someone feels threatened. Not physically threatened, psychologically threatened, when their security, status, or self-image is at risk. This is why friends turn into enemies when they feel threatened. It's not cruelty, it's calculation. A cold, primal calculation that your friendship is less important than their survival. Watch what happens when resources become scarce in any relationship. Watch what happens when only one of you can win. Watch what happens when choosing you means losing something they want more. Suddenly, the person who shared everything becomes secretive. The one who supported you starts undermining you. The one who protected you begins exposing you. Machiavelli called this the two sides of human nature. People can be generous when generosity costs nothing, loyal when loyalty serves them, honest when honesty doesn't hurt, but change the stakes and you discover their true hierarchy of values. And you'll be surprised how low you rank on that list. The shadow isn't evil, it's just honest about what matters more than you do. Here's the cruelest truth about broken trust. The people who can hurt you most are the people who know you best. Strangers can't betray you. They don't have access to your vulnerabilities. Only your inner circle can destroy you, because they're the only ones who know exactly where to aim. Jung recognized that intimacy creates opportunity. The person who knows your fears can use them against you. The one who shares your secrets holds your reputation in their hands. The one who understands your weaknesses knows exactly how to break you. When trust dies in close relationships, you don't just lose a friend or partner. You lose your sense of safety. Because if someone who knew you this well could betray you this deeply, who can you trust? This is why you feel like you have to watch your back, even with people close to you. It's not paranoia. It's pattern recognition. Your subconscious has learned that proximity doesn't guarantee protection. Sometimes it guarantees precision in the attack. Machiavelli warned about this repeatedly. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. But the deeper wisdom is understanding that sometimes your friends are your enemies, and they're already closer than you think. But here's where it gets psychological. When someone's shadow emerges, it doesn't just reveal their darkness, it reveals yours. Yes, the hidden side of you. Jung called this projection. When trust breaks, you start seeing in others what you fear in yourself. The betrayer reminds you of your capacity for betrayal. The liar forces you to confront your own deceptions. This is why broken trust hurts so much. It's not just their mask falling, it's yours too. Suddenly, you see yourself as capable of the same darkness. You recognize their shadow because it resonates with the shadow in you. And that recognition is terrifying. You realize you're not fundamentally different from them. You're not morally superior. You're not immune to the same temptations, the same fears, the same selfish calculations. Under the right pressure, with the right incentives, facing the right threats, you might make the same choices they made. Machiavelli would call this wisdom. The moment you recognize your capacity for the same behaviors you condemn in others is the moment you begin to understand power. Real power. Not the power of judgment, but the power of clarity. Most people's ethics aren't fixed. They're flexible, contextual, negotiable. The same person who would never lie to you might lie for you. And if they'll lie for you, they'll eventually lie to you. When the context changes, when the stakes shift, when lying to you serves them better than lying for you. Jung saw this moral flexibility as a psychological necessity. We adapt our principles to our circumstances because rigid morality would make survival impossible. But that adaptability has a dark side. It means the person who seems most trustworthy might simply be in circumstances where trustworthiness serves them. Change those circumstances and watch how quickly their principles become negotiable. Machiavelli understood this as human nature, not moral failure. He wrote, "A prudent man should always follow in the path trodden by great men and imitate those who have been supreme." And what did those great men have in common? They knew that morality is often a luxury people can only afford when it doesn't cost them anything important. When it does cost them something, their security, their status, their dreams, moral flexibility becomes moral necessity. Here's something nobody tells you about trust. It exists in seasons. Jung observed that relationships move in cycles. Trust builds, peaks, then inevitably declines as people change. Circumstances shift, and new pressures emerge. What you mistake for permanence is actually just a moment in a larger pattern. The person who betrays you today might have been completely trustworthy yesterday. Not because they were pretending, but because yesterday they were in a different season. Different fears, different pressures, different opportunities. Their winter has arrived and they need resources you can't provide. Their spring is coming, and they're preparing for growth that doesn't include you. Machiavelli saw this temporal nature of loyalty in every alliance he studied. Treaties broken when they became inconvenient. Friendships dissolved when they became burdensome. Promises forgotten when they became obstacles. This doesn't mean relationships are meaningless. It means they're temporary. All of them. The question isn't whether trust will eventually be broken, but how you'll handle it when it is. Will you become bitter and closed, or will you become wise and selective? Jung realized that most human suffering comes from the illusion of control. We trust others partly because we believe we can influence their behavior through our trust. We think being good to them ensures they'll be good to us. The shadow shatters this illusion. You discover you control far less than you imagine. You can't control someone else's fear, greed, ambition, or desperation. You can't control their seasons or their calculations. You can't even control their shadow, the parts of them they don't control themselves. Machiavelli built his entire philosophy on this recognition of limited control. You can control your own actions and responses, but you cannot control others' choices. What you can do is prepare. Build flexibility into your strategies. Create multiple options. Position yourself to benefit regardless of whether others prove trustworthy or treacherous. This is the ultimate gift of meeting someone's shadow. It forces you to let go of the illusion of control and embrace the reality of influence. You can't control whether someone betrays you, but you can influence the cost of that betrayal. All relationships involve power dynamics. Trust is one way power gets distributed. When you trust someone, you give them power over you. When they betray that trust, they're using that power against you. Jung understood that the shadow emerges when someone chooses to use their power destructively rather than constructively. Machiavelli saw that people remain trustworthy as long as being trustworthy serves their power interests. They become untrustworthy when betrayal serves those interests better. This isn't moral failure. It's strategic calculation. Understanding the power dimension of trust gives you tools for managing it. You can be more strategic about how much power you give others through your trust. You can maintain your own sources of power so you're not completely dependent on others' trustworthiness. You can structure relationships so that betrayal serves no one's interests. When you stop trusting people, you meet their shadow, but you also meet your own. You discover your capacity for both light and darkness, both trust and suspicion, both love and strategic thinking. This discovery doesn't make you cynical, it makes you complete. The shadow isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. It shows you what you need to see about human nature, including your own. It forces you to grow beyond naive trust into mature discernment. Jung called this process individuation, becoming whole by integrating all parts of yourself, including the dark ones. Machiavelli called it wisdom, understanding the world as it is, not as you wish it were. Both were teaching the same essential lesson. You cannot navigate relationships skillfully while remaining blind to half of human nature. The world tells you that losing trust is purely loss. Jung and Machiavelli tell you it's also gain. You lose your illusions, but you gain clarity. You lose naive trust, but you gain strategic wisdom. You lose comfortable beliefs about human nature, but you gain realistic understanding of it. And with that understanding comes a different kind of power. Not the power to control others, which was always an illusion, but the power to navigate relationships skillfully, protect yourself appropriately, and trust selectively. The power that comes from seeing the full picture, shadow included. This is why meeting someone's shadow is ultimately a gift. Not a pleasant gift, but a necessary one. It's your introduction to reality, your education in human nature, your training in wisdom, and wisdom, unlike trust, can never truly be betrayed. Because wisdom expects the shadow, it plans for it, prepares for it, and uses it as information rather than taking it as injury. The next time someone shows you their shadow, thank them. Not because their darkness is good, but because their honesty is useful. They're giving you information you need to navigate the relationship effectively. That knowledge, painful as it might be, is infinitely more valuable than the illusion they were selling before. Don't stop trusting. Start trusting better. Because the goal was never to find people without shadows. The goal was to find people whose shadows you could understand, accept, and navigate without losing yourself in the process. When you stop trusting people, you meet their shadow. But you also meet the possibility of something deeper than trust, understanding. And understanding, unlike trust, can survive betrayal. It can grow stronger through disappointment, because understanding doesn't require others to be perfect. It only requires you to be honest about who they really are, shadow included. And that honesty is the foundation of every relationship worth having. The shadow is not the end of trust. It's the beginning of wisdom. And wisdom is the only thing that can create trust strong enough to survive the truth. So meet their shadow, learn from it, use it to build something better than what was there before. If you've made it this far, you understand what most people never will. Everyone has a shadow, including you. And the person who can see shadows clearly, navigate them skillfully, and integrate them wisely, that person becomes unbetrayable. Not because they can't be betrayed, but because they expect it, prepare for it, and use it as information rather than devastation. Tell me in the comments, what shadow did you meet when trust died? And what did it teach you about yourself? Because that learning is your real power. The shadow is waiting to teach you. Are you ready to learn?